It's the 22nd of July and I'm going to be dividing some of my fly traps. These are my SD Kronos, and this all used to be one big rhizome about 3 months ago. Probably not even. And I broke them into several different pieces, and all of them grew into probably at least a dozen traps. Some of these pieces have turned into multiple traps. For example, this one is a piece of a rhizome, and it's got at least 2 traps. And since they're so close together, the bigger one's gonna shade out the smaller one. So what I usually do is I'll gently work it out of the ground, trying to make sure I don't break the roots. It's got some nice root growth here, and I'll do my best to separate the 2 plants, ensuring that both can survive. It's best to get a closer look. It's definitely got 2 plants, so it looks like one's actually a lot bigger. But what I like to do in this instance is see if I can simply take off the bigger one. And it looks like it's successfully done it. Took off this one. I could probably put these back in the dirt to see if they'll turn into more strikes. I'll just simply plant these towards the middle. This one also actually has 2 plants, but they're so small, so I'm just going to leave it together for now. But this one definitely has its own root system. So what I'll do is I'll just make a little hole right here and try to get it in a spot where it won't be competing with other plants. And I'll just return this one right in its original spot, and both pieces have roots. So I expect both of them to survive just fine. And this one actually also has 2 pieces. The smaller it is, the harder it is to divide them, but if I can, I like to make sure that they're growing apart so they're not shading each other out. Something like this. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to use my tweezers. Sometimes I'll knock off a few pieces, but actually, to my surprise, this actually has three growth points, but it doesn't really matter. I'll just get this one with a 2 and get the sew right back onto it. And then this one, which is isolated, can just go right next to it, right? And I'll definitely have to water these guys in shortly after I do all these divisions. But this is pretty impressive. I can just keep on multiplying these. And here's one more. This one should be pretty easy, because it looks like they're already well separated. Well, as expected, this guy wasn't even really attached, so I can simply take it and move it into a nice moist spot, plant it, and then put the main plant right back in its spot. A few more months, this pot, maybe about 2 or 3 more months, this pot should be completely filled up with fly traps. This is a flower stock cutting, and it also created 2 strikes, so probably in another month or so I'll probably be able to separate those. Here's my DCXL, which is about a month and a half more advanced, and it's growing like crazy. Like this one right here, it has 2 growth points, but it looks like, yeah, it's really filling up a big spot. And sometimes they even shade out the smaller ones, so what I do is I usually use like a little stick and I try to make sure they don't shade out each other. This one right here, it actually lost its main growth point, and it probably has half a dozen little traps here. So once these get a little bit bigger, I'll probably take the whole chunk out and divide them out a little bit more if I really want to, but it looks like, yeah, out of both plants I already have so many divisions.